Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is CCNA Day 28 part 2 and still talking about access control list. But before doing anything, we talked about access control list in general in previous video in part 1 of Day 28. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do some basic configuration for standard access list, and then I'm just going to speak about extended access list, named access list, and I'm going to show you the verification, monitoring, and also as a bonus, I'm just going to show you how you can edit different types of access lists. Okay, great. So let's start. But before doing this, like I said, I'm just going to go back to my topology. This is a very simple topology, R1, 2, 3 in a linear fashion, and I have opened the configuration in here. What I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm just going to show you that I have no configuration whatsoever, and I'm just going to do this right now. This is very super fast and no problem. So on the other one, I'm just going to say interface loop like 0. I'm just going to have IP address of 1.1.1.255.255.255.255. This is basically that we have already done. Interface is 0, 0. I'm just going to say IP address is going to be 10.1.2.1.255.255.255. 0. So what I'm going to do is enable OSPF as a general routing protocol in here. So I'm just going to say router OSPF1, and I'm just going to add every interface to the router, and I'm just going to do any kind of configuration for router ID. Router ID is going to be selected based on loopback interface. I have only one, so I'm pretty sure that router ID is going to be 1111. Although you should be very deterministic, so going with router ID is going to be the best one. But right now, I'm just going to super fast do some configuration for having something here for us. Let me just do something. I'm just going to stop this, and then I'm going to add a network, and that would be a management network, and I'm just going to call this internet, and then I'm going to connect it to this router. Okay, great. And then I'm just going to control the connection to the internet as well. So I'm just going to start this one. Let's go to router 2. On router 2, I'm just going to say en configure terminal, and then I'm just going to say, let's say router with PF1. Then I'm just going to say network everywhere, area 0. Also, interface loop like 0 is going to have an IP address of 2222, 32 bits of subnet mask. And interface E00 is going to have an IP address of 10.122. You already see the pattern, right? Interface E01 is going to have an IP address of 10.232. Great. So we have done this part as well. Router 3, I'm just going to do the same thing. En configure terminal, interface loopback 0, IP address is going to be 3333 255 255 255 255. Interface E0/1 is going to have an IP address of 10233, and that's it. I'm just going to go with router OSPF configuration. This connection to the internet, I'm just going to configure it later. I'm just going to show you something interesting. So let's say that this is going to have a network of 0000 and area 0. So we have right now, after some time, we will see that there is an adjacency. I can have connection from everywhere to everywhere, and I'm just going to make sure that something is happening here. Some part of the traffic is going to be stopped, some part is not. So from router 1 to router 3, if I try to ping, let's say 3333, you can see the ping is successful. If I try to ping it from my own loopback 0, ping is successful. So I have full reachability to the network, no problem with that. But let's say for some reason I don't want to receive any kind of traffic from router 1 to the loopback interface of router 3. So what am I going to do in here? I know the source, and for that, I'm just going to block that kind of a connection. Now, because I have a destination, but I am going to do this with a standard access list, the destination is not going to be very, let's say, resilient. I cannot really do anything about that. This means that when I do block this, I have to block it on this interface, on E01, which is the incoming interface in here. The inbound traffic is going to be blocked. But the problem is that would be blocked for everywhere. I cannot really do anything with a standard access list about the destination thing. So that's kind of a, uh, just a configuration just to make sure that this is kind of stopping this kind of a traffic. But I cannot be very specific about that. Let's do this and see how this is going to work. So I'm just going to go to configuration mode, and I have two different syntax. The syntax for numbered access list starts with access list, and after that a number. Access list should have double S, then a number. You can see that there are two ranges. One is this 1 to 99. Like I said, this is for standard access list, and there is going to be another range, which is going to be this one, 1300 to 1999, something like this. But most likely you're not going to, use this. But if you want to have a specific numbering, this is going to be for you. But right now, I'm just going to go with 1. I told you that there are two different syntaxes. The second syntax starts with IP access list, and after this you have the option of having standard or extended. I am saying standard, and after that you can see that I can have those numbers, or I can type a word. But when I type this number is going to be treated as a word actually, although it knows that this is a number. And later I'm just going to show you when I'm talking about editing, you will see that this is going to be useful for you. But again, that is something simple. But let's just go with this. Like I said that this is going to be much more, descriptive, because now you have a name in front of it instead of a number. But let's say that, for example, for now, I'm just going to do this with numbered access list. Okay. So I'm just going to say access list, and before doing this, I want to make sure that I don't have any access list. I'm not overwriting or appending to any existing access list. That's going to be a disaster. So I'm just going to say do show access list, hit enter. Right now it says that I have no access list created before. So I'm just going to start with maybe number 1. Okay, access list number 1, and after that I have two options: deny or permit. And I can, of course, make a comment. Like I said, remark is a good place to just put your comments on that. Most likely you want to, specify what this access list is all about. Otherwise, your, documentation is the only source of understanding what the access list does. I'm just going to go with remark, and I'm just going to say, block, let's say, R1, loop back 0 traffic. That is my comment. Then I'm going to say access list 1. I'm just going to say deny, and I'm very specific in the beginning lines and then general in the last line. But I don't have many lines in here. I only have 2 lines in here. So I'm just going to say deny, and I'm just going to say 1 1 1 1, and then after that I can have a wildcard mask, which is going to be 255 255 2 0000, or I can go with slash notation. Both of them are accepted. Of course, it should be with a space. Okay, so which one is better? I prefer this one. But sometimes when I want to go with a range of IP addresses, I prefer wildcard mask. So I use both of them. Now, like I said, if I just say do show access list, hit enter, you can see that I have one line that denies only 1111. But I already told you that there is a second line, there is a last line actually, which is called implicit deny, and it denies everything. So if I just apply this, I'm denying every part of traffic, every traffic that I have in here. So I need to make sure that the rest of the traffic is allowed. So I'm just going to say access list 1 permit any. This means that I am allowing everything else. The only thing that I have denied is 1111. Okay, now is the application. I told you that the best place to put this is near the destination, and destination is on router 3, so I can just put it on this interface. So I'm just going to do this, and the traffic is coming in, so this should be inbound. Okay, so I will say interface E01 IP access group, and the number is 1, and after that I have in or out, and the traffic is inbound, so I just like in. But before doing this, I'm just going to put something like this. This is not going to be applied. Before doing this, I'm just going to go to router 1. I'm going to say ping this source is going to be look back 0, and I'm going to say repeat until like 100 times. Repeat 100 times. Yeah, maybe 100,000 times, 10,000 times. So now that I am seeing the traffic going on, I'm just going to apply this to the interface. As soon as I apply it, if I go back to here, you can see that I have unreachables in here. There is a security breach when you see this unreachables. Of course, not security breach, a security hazard actually. And you can say, okay, I'm not going to show this unreachable. This means that there is such destination, or you are hitting the correct network, and the hacker or anyone who tries to reach this destination understands that he's, hitting the correct place. But I want to make sure that this is as vague as possible. So I'm just going to go to R3, and I'm going to say no IP ICM, no ICMP, no IP ICMP. Okay, there should be no ICMP unreachable, something like this. Let me see. No IP unreachable. Yes, this is it. No IP unreachables. So when you see that, if I go back to router 1, now instead of these U's that say unreachable, what I see is just dots. These dots are very vague. They will not understand what this is used. Is there any destination correctly set or not? So this means that security is done to the correct, applied to the correct place. So you can see that I have this IP access group inbound in here. If I go with another access group, this one is going to be removed because I only have one inbound and one outbound. I cannot have more than one inbound, more than one outbound. That is what I had in here. So that's the application. Now the thing is, if I say do show access list, I can see that so far 120 packets have been dropped, denied, and 12 have been passed. This means that some other type of traffic is allowed, but this one is not going through. This means that I have just done the correct thing in here. Okay, so I can just check this one more time. You can see that so far 131 matches have been identified in here. Okay, I'm just going to stop this traffic and then go back to the slides that we have in here so that we can talk about some other types of access lists. Like I said standard is just for source. Extended can have source and destination at the same time, plus protocol, port, time range, and a lot of other options. But this means that extended is going to give us some more control over everything. Let's go back to here and check this for our specific purpose. So this is that if I source anything to 3333 from 1111, we cannot really reach to that. But I told you that because this is matching only the source, I have some problems. So let's say, for example, from router 1, I'm trying to reach to, let's say, E00's IP address. So what is the IP address of E00? This has been allocated by DHCP. If I just go to router 3 and say do show IP interface brief, you can see that E00, oh, this is unassigned. So I can just receive it right now. So I'm just going to go to interface E00, or I can allocate it manually. IP address is going to be 192.168.100, let's say 255.255.255.250, and just up already. I'm just going to also add a route to as a default route. to 192.168.102, which is my gateway. And also on router OSPF1, I'm just going to say default information originate. This means that now other places like router 1, for example, should have this path. This means that I should be able to ping 8888, which I can. But can I ping it using my loopback 0? No. Why? Because this access list is stopping. And I always said that I just want this traffic to be blocked only to the loopback of router 3, not the rest of the network. But I cannot reach to here. I cannot even reach to this interface, 10.2.3.3, which is this interface in here, E01, right? So what am I gonna do with that? I need to be more specific. And for that, I need another type of access list. So if I just go to R3, I'm going to here, I'm going to say access list, let's say 101. This means that I am using an extended access list because I already know that from 100 to 199, these are a range used for extended access list. And now you can see that I have Hermit, and also I have a dynamic type of access list. But right now I'm just going to say deny. And after that, let's take a look at it. What type of protocol do you want to stop here? 255 different options. Some of them have names. Some of them, you can just put the protocol number, right? But if you see the name, that's going to be easier. Otherwise, for example, you know that ESGRP is 88, I believe, or 89. OSPF is one of these two. Or maybe, for example, TCP, UDP type of traffic you want to stop it. What I'm trying to say here, I'm just stopping ICMP. I don't really want to stop other type of traffic. I just want to make sure the ping is not going through. HTTP should go through, for example, FTP should go through, let's say a remote desktop should go through, other type of traffic should go through. The only traffic that I don't want to let it through is going to be the ICMP. Okay, so I'm just going to say deny ICMP. And after that, it says, okay, what is the source? If I say host, this means that I am using a wildcard mask of 0000 or /32 extension. A host means only one device, right? I can just go with that and say host 1111, and this is exactly the same as writing 1111.0000. So both of them are the same. So writing host is going to give you a better understanding, but this type of writing is going to show you a range of just one IP address. So that's up to you. Which one do you want to have? Let's say, for example, this one. After this, I have the destination. Okay, what is the destination that I'm trying to stop? Again, because this is one IP address, I can just type host and then 3333, or I can say 3333 and 0000. This means that one destination only. And after that, you can see that so many different options are here. So many different options. For example, what type of packet? What is the TTL of the packet? Do we want to have a type of service, which is kind of a quality of service thing? Do I want to have a time range? For example, at this time, from this time to this time, I just want this traffic to go from the rest of the. Let's say, for example, you have an internet connection. You want to make sure that from 9 to 5, this internet connection is available. From 5 to the next morning, to 9, this is not available. So you can use time range. And you can see that there are lots of different types of options that you can match in here. So this is very, very powerful tool for you. But right now, I'm just going to hit enter because I don't really want to have anything more than that. So what does it say? It says that, first of all, the access list number is 101. This is the name, actually. I'm denying. And I'm denying just ICMP traffic, not any other type of traffic. And this is from 1111, that's the source, and to 3333, that's the destination. Now, I don't want to have implicit deny in the end, so If I do not write anything more than this, if any type of traffic is going to be denied, because you know that there is an implicit denial in the end. So I'm just going to say, okay, access list 101 permit, and I'm just going to make sure that any type of traffic is going to be allowed. So I just say permit IP from any source to any destination. Hit enter, and that's my access list. Now if I say show access list, here we are. We have two different types of access lists. The first one, only source matches the source. The second one, we can see that it matches this one to this one and ICMP. I'm just going to put this in interface E01 IP access group 101 inbound. Okay, if I say show run interface E01, you can see that the previous one has been removed. This one has been replaced with that. Let's now see the type of traffic that we are denying and the rest of the traffic. If I go to router 1, and I'm going to try the ping that we tried it before. The ping goes through from source to loopback 0. If I say ping 8888, the ping goes through, no problem. This is again from the source of loopback 0. And if I try to reach to 3333, source loopback 0, this one doesn't go through. Because this is the exact traffic that we matched in there, and we did not really allow it to go through in here. So you see that the extended access list is going to give you more options than a standard access list, but you use both of them, right? This is not, I'm not suggesting that a standard access list is not so useful. A standard access list is very useful, but you should see where you want to use this. Something which is very important to understand is we don't have bad or good in networking or in any other place. What we have is more advantageous or less advantageous for this specific situation. So for this specific situation, I just decided that based on the scenario, I have to go with extended access list. If there was some other scenario, then I would use another type of access list. Okay. So we saw extended access list and how we can just stop some stuff from going through. And let's say, for example, we wanted to block telnet. You can see that it says telnet is protocol TCP number 23, port number is 23 for the destination. So we can just say deny TCP any from any source to host 172.16.55. That is on TCP port 23. Then we are going to have permit IP any just to make sure that the rest of the traffic is going through without any problem. So you can see that this access list has only 2 entries, but you can have some access lists that have tens of entries, and that's going to be okay. Be very careful about extra lines though, because some of them are going to hit the CPU and you don't really want this to happen. Extended access list normally is placed near the source, not near the destination, although I did it in a good place. But if you don't have any idea where the destination is, then source is going to be the best option actually for you. And then there are some other options here. You can see, for example, some examples. For HTTP, we have port 80. I'm just going to let you go through this and see what is going to be used. And for placement guidelines, extended access list usually go close to the source. Standard access list usually go close to the destination. Stop unwanted traffic early. You don't really want this in the end of the network. You want it in the beginning. Sometimes destination site placement is required. As you saw in my case, I had to go through this, and I couldn't really do this in the beginning. I could, but this was the business place that I just could find it. Okay, I'm just going to show you the name access list and the usage for that. I'm just going to replace this access list that I have with a named access list. Let's say on R3, what I'm going to do is to say IP access list instead of access list. IP access list, and after that you can see that IP access, that's right. because I am under interface configuration, it doesn't really show well. So what I need to do is to go here and write it. This is going to be much easier to receive some help. See that? I'm just going to say this is an extended access list, and after that, I want to have a name. Block loopback 0 R1 traffic loopback 0 R3. That's a better name, right? Or I can just say 2 loopback 0. 2 loopback 0 R3. So that's the description name, although I can make some remarks in here. So you can see that I have the ability to put some comments in here as a remark so that I can just see what this is all about. But based on the name, I can easily understand. Now, here we have again the same thing. Again, for example, deny ICMP host 1111 host 3333 and editor and permit IP any editor. That's my IP access list. If I say show access list, I can see this access list in here. That's easier to understand what this access is all about. And then I can just use this and go to interface E0/1 and say IP access group is going to this one inbound. Now if I say do show run interface E01, you can see that this is replaced with the previous one. And this does exactly the same thing as the other ones do on my network. So you can see that named is going to give you again the option to have a standard or extended access list. It is easier to read and maintain, and it is maybe more descriptive than what you have already. Okay, so we have sequence numbers. That is very important, except exactly, and specifically when you want to do some kind of addition on the access list. Let's go back to our topology in here. If I say show access list, and in this case I'm just going to say 1, hit enter. You can see that I have some numbers in front of each entry, 10, 20, and these numbers have been allocated automatically. I didn't do that. They were allocated automatically. Although I can just give this numbers as well, I didn't do that. So what is the usage of this? First of all, it shows the order of the lines, which is very important. Second, I can use these lines to edit the lines. If I do not use these lines, then I'm just going to have maybe appendages to the, let's say, access list. For example, if I say access list 1, then I'm just going to say, let's say, for example, deny 2222, hit enter. It says that access rules can't be configured at higher sequence number as it is part of the existing rule. That's a warning, right? So if I just say do show access list 1, it says that this is not possible to do that, right? I'm just going to do something. Let me just write this one more time. 0000, hit enter. It says that this is not possible because I have just put a permit in here. Now, let's say that I'm just going to add this to my access list anyway. How can I do that? I'm just going to edit this in a very interesting fashion. I'm just going to write IP access list as if this is an IP access list, as if this is a named access list. Then instead of the name, I'll put the number in here. IP access list 1, exactly standard one actually. Standard 1, hit enter. Now I am editing the exact thing that I had before. I'm just going to say no 20, or maybe why not no 20? I'm just going to say, let's say 11. That's the sequence number, right? After 10. I want to have this after deny, but before the permit. I'm just going to say deny 2222 0000. Hit enter. Let's see what the result is. We will show access list 1. see that I have this extra line in here, and that is before permit any. This means that because this is very specific, it is going to hit, right? So addition is very simple. Just going with a new this. Let's say that I don't want to have this permit any in here. I'm just going to remove it. So I'm just going to say no 20. And then if I check this is gone, right? Maybe I want to have this as 100. Permit any. Hit enter. Show access was. The number is 100. What are the numbers used for? Like I said, this is the order of the entries. This means that now I have from number 11 to 100 to put anything in between here. See, I have the ability to put so many entries. From 10 to 20, I had only 9 options, but here I have something like 90 different entries that I can just put in here. This means that sometimes I want to resequence. Of course, this resequence is impossible as well, but that's going to, give me some more options just to have a replacement or a deletion or addition or something like that. So applying, I showed you how you can do this. And also for verification, show accesses is what we use. Also, you can have show IP accesses. Both of them are going to show the same thing. Show IP interface is going to show you some information about the access list. So if I just go back to my configuration, if I say show interface, let's say E0/1, it says that I have something like naturally this one, let's say show IP interface E01. Hit enter. Here I should see that there are input features like access listing here. Tells me that I have some accesses configured in this part. And if I just go up and check this, it says that inbound access list is applied to here. So show IP interface. I just said show interface in here. You can see that I have told you I have just put it show IP interface. You can see that this is in here, and it tells me what interface is what access is applied to this specific interface. So this is going to be your troubleshooting checklist. Is it on the right interface? Is it on the right direction? Is it missing a permit any in the end, or maybe deny any in the end based on what you have? Is implicit deny in there without knowing, and it is stopping the traffic? And is the order of the let's say entries correct? And then that is almost everything that we wanted to have about accesses. Although this is the basics, but we are going to see with more later. You can see that now we know how to write an access list, and wildcard is going to be very important. You know the difference between a standard and extended access list. You know where to place these, and the verification commands are going to be there. Okay, I hope this has been informative for you. Please like and subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and also put your questions and comments below so that I can answer them. Also, hit that bell button so that you're going to receive a notification whenever there is a new video. Have a good time and see you in later videos.